details of Yom Kippur's protocoled ceremony may seem to be exhaustive and overly detailed, but it's in the details that we find their purpose and their revelation. Hi, this is Barry Phelps with 10-Minute Torah, Day 3 of Yom Kippur, readings and understandings. We are still today in the Vayikra, Leviticus 16. It says in verse number 6, "And Aaron shall bring the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house. He shall take the 2 goats and let them stand before Yahweh at the door of the tent of appointment, and Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for Yahweh and the other lot for Azazel." And then it talks about bringing the goat that is named for Yahweh and preparing it as a sin offering. And it talks about in verse 11 that Aaron shall bring the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house, and slay the bull as a sin offering, again, which is for himself. Now, the process is that he brings first the blood of the bull into the Kadosh Kadashim, that is the Holy of Holies. This is the only day in the entire year that anyone goes into this room. It is only permissible for the high priest, the Kohen HaGadol, to go in. And he must be ceremonially clean. He must be dressed appropriately. He must be of the right mindset and be right focused. And he has very specific duties that he is to perform. First of all, going in, and he takes the blood, which is for himself, and he sprinkles it, it says in verse 14, on the east side, and in front of the lid of atonement, he sprinkles it with some of the blood with his fingers 7 times. Now, why the east side? Now, the entrance into the tabernacle is from the east. He's going in through the side where the tribe of Yehudah is, through the ranks of where Moshe and Aaron, the Kohanim, live. He goes through the process of the courtyard and then enters into the set-apart place where there is the table of showbread on his right, the menorah on his left, straight ahead the altar of incense. He goes through those, and he comes to the veil and enters through the veil, and therein is the Ark of the Covenant. Now, it is completely smoke-filled because he has incense that has billowed up and filled this room, covering the presence of the Most High, which is situated right in front of him. He is now where Moshe has been, that is face to face with the Most High, but separated by smoke, a cloud of smoke. As we talked about recently, then that's a revelation of Yeshua in the smoke, in the cloud. The east side then would be the front side. Follow me? As you're standing from the east, the point that is nearest to the east is right in front of you, Takes his finger and he flings it 7 times. Now it's interesting here that he is putting the blood on the east side of the lid. In the heavenlies, we find that Yeshua stands in this position. It says in the book of Acts, as Stephen is being stoned for his testimony. It says in Acts chapter number 7, pertaining to Stephen, verse 55, "But he, being filled with the set-apart spirit, looked steadily into the heaven and saw the esteem of Elohim, and Yeshua standing at the right hand of Elohim. And he said, Look, I see the heavens opened, and the Son of Adam standing on the right hand of Elohim." Now, this is a quote then from the book of Psalms, chapter 110, and verse number 1, that says, Yahweh said to my master, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. Yeshua is at the right hand of the master. So where Aaron then is placing the blood, he would be sprinkling the blood symbolically on Yeshua, who sprinkled his blood on us to atone for us. I find that very, very interesting. So it also says then in the book of Hebrews, and it says in chapter number 9, and again, Hebrews, and most of what Hebrews contains is a dissertation on the worship ceremony that is found on Yom Kippur. Chapter 9, verse 11, but Messiah, having become a high priest of the coming good matters, through the greater and more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is not of this creation. Here we understand that what is being referenced is not the tabernacle that is to be found on planet Earth, but rather the original tabernacle that is still to this moment in existence in the heavenlies. Moshe was shown the heavenly tabernacle and given instructions as to how to build a replica of that tabernacle on the earth to facilitate on the earth the worship and the adoration that is taking place in the heavenlies, so that heaven and earth can agree. So then, for those who say we don't need an earthly tabernacle anymore, we miss the point of the tabernacle and its purpose, which is to bring heaven and earth into same worship, same service, and enable them to agree. We'll have to touch that another time. But verse 12 says, concerning Yeshua, that he entered into the set-apart places once for all, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood, having obtained everlasting redemption. So Yeshua, when he died, they were looking at a dead body on a cross or a tree, executioner stake. In the spirit, something else was happening. Yeshua was taking his blood and entering into the most set apart place of the throne of the Most High in the heavenlies, and presenting his blood as atonement for us. Now, atonement for what? Now, later in just, as we read the book of Leviticus, we find that the same process is repeated with the blood of this one particular goat, and it's in behalf of the people. But it's also interesting that where the blood is applied, that represents the people, it's not, it's presented the same way, but then it's for a different purpose. It says that he brings this blood, and he also sprinkles the slaughter place in verse 18, makes atonement for it, and he puts it on the horns of the altar, and he sprinkles his blood against it. What is he doing? He is setting apart the tabernacle. But if a tabernacle is made according to the heavenly design, why does it need to be set apart every year? Because the sins of the people and the failures of Aaron's priesthood taint it and stain it with sin. Is that not what Yeshua did for us? That he cleansed the temple in our behalf, so that the service of the temple that he himself mediates and is high priest of is effective once and for all. Hallelujah. We now have access to a full functioning redemption service in the heavenlies by Yeshua Messiah. Praise be to Yeshua. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.